Howard, can I just start with you? Because I think I'm looking at all the sort of footnotes as well. No announcement on fuel duty, no announcement on VAT on fuel either.
Well, I'm good morning. I'm absolutely sickened by this budget at the moment, mini budget, whatever you want to call about it. One of the quickest ways to reduce the cost of living crisis is to reduce fuel duty. And that's what everyone understands. And I've spoken to Liz Truss. I spoke to Rishi Sunak in the leadership campaign, and both agreed that's the sort of thing they could do. They didn't even mention it. And they didn't even mention that they're actually keeping the 5p cut that Rishi Sunak put in place in the March spring statement either. This is a sickening thing. And as usual, drivers are being used as cash cows rather than the solution to reducing the cost of living crisis.
Is it, though, that they're looking at the Brent crude price? That's come down. Forecourt prices are starting to dip down. I think the average now is about 165 a litre.
Yes, you're absolutely right. But that's a ridiculously high price. We're still the highest in Europe. Most of the European nations actually reduced fuel duty by double digits, and they got a reduction in inflation. In August, our inflation rate fell by 0.3% because pump prices fell by 10 pence. So it's a no-brainer to recognise that cutting fuel duty big will cut inflation big and help the economy, and everything we buy will be cheaper, and it will help the cost of living crisis. It's a no-brainer.
OK, Malcolm, let's bring you in, because we had the energy packet as expected and the figures which we knew already. But of course, the whole question is how it's going to be paid for. And that's going to be dependent on this wholesale gas price, i.e. what the bill for the government will be at the end of it. Now, what's the situation on the wholesale market at the moment?
Well, the prices remain high. They're a little bit off the peak, as petrol prices are, as you mentioned. Crude oil prices are off the peak that they were 2-3 months ago. But of course, there remains enormous political uncertainty. And that has two effects. Firstly, it means we simply don't know what the future prices are. But it also means that markets tend to overreact. And so at the moment, people will be playing it safe, and wholesale prices will be high. We're looking at increasing imports from the United States, fracked gas from the States, possibly Saudi Arabia looking at maybe increasing its output. So there are possible things in the wind that may bring the wholesale gas price down for a while. But I don't think anybody will be gambling on wholesale prices returning to anything like their pre-crisis levels for some years, probably.
What do you make of the fracking debate? Clearly, Jacob Rees-Mogg got a rough ride from his backbenchers in the Commons yesterday. Do you think it's likely to start? And if so, what's he going to provide us with?
Well, that's the big question, is we don't really know what the scope is in the UK. As a broad principle, it seems to me that if we can source the natural gas that we need to use, for example, when the wind isn't blowing, so we need gas-powered stations to take over electricity production, quite apart from use of gas in our homes. We're still using vast amounts of gas and will be doing for the foreseeable future. And in principle, if we can source that from here rather than from imports, that's a good thing. The states, of course, are where the fracking revolution has been most stark, indeed dramatic. But the states have vast areas of land and a relatively friendly geology. The UK geology, on average, is rather more complex than that in the States. And, of course, we're much more densely populated. So many areas where fracking might be possible, and Lancashire and Sussex are the most obvious, there's going to be a lot of people very unhappy about it.